What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Once again, we are going to talk about what's next with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
First thing I want to talk about is the fact that Red Wing
Payload secure. Thanks, Sam.
Don't thank me.
I'm not thinking that thing.
His name is Red Wing.
I'm still not thinking it.
He's cute. Go ahead, pet him.
moment of silence was completely destroyed. Much to Bucky's delight, since he has wanted to do that for some time.
I always wanted to do that.
But was destroyed by Carly. And I wanted to make sure that they never showed anyone picking it up. And we know, since we were told by Battlestar, and if someone doesn't call him Galactica sometime during this show, I'm going to be very disappointed. But we know that they could track Red Wing, and that's how they found Sam and Bucky during that whole scene with them against the Flag Smashers. If they get their hands on Stark Tech, this could once again be leading down that path of Armor Wars, which I talked a little bit about last week with Don Cheadle and War Machine being in episode 1. I thought that was just a subtle little thing that they never saw picking it up. So we may see someone or the government get their hands on some Stark Tech, and that may come into play later on down the line, especially in Armor Wars.
I really think you're onto something with that, Keith. I think if we're going to see anything come out of the technology that Falcon uses, the technology that the Winter Soldier uses, I think we might end up seeing some sort of Armor Wars, whether it's going to involve something between one faction or another in Marvel, or whether it's going to be good guys versus bad guys, or another sort of mini Civil War. Not entirely sure how the MCU is going to play it out. But one thing that I want to kind of add on to that is I wonder now if we're going to also see an introduction of more Wakandan tech sprinkled into all of this too.
Yes, they are sharing their technology with the world now. And I was wondering that when that happened too, is he going to get a replacement somehow? But again, Stark is the one who designed it. And I don't know if anybody in his company is as smart as he is to redesign something like that. Even though in that episode when he was playing with it, he asked, he was working with it, and he told the other guy not even to touch it. Torres told Torres not even to touch it. Can you not? So he had to know something about it too, but I doubt he could reconstruct the whole thing.
To be fair though, Dave, I assumed that he was going at that from like the standpoint of, hey, look, I don't want anybody in the military touching my stuff because you will break it. Myself having been in the military along with Keith, I think we know better than to let anybody in the shop touch anything that is of any value. They will destroy it.
Sick. Military. Burn.
In the show, I like the way that Sam handled the racial profiling that went on. And we all know what scene I'm talking about, where he walks up and the kid calls him the Black Falcon.
Hey, it's Black Falcon!
It's just Falcon, kid.
No. My daddy told me it's Black Falcon.
Is it because I'm black and I'm the Falcon?
Well, technically, yes.
So are you like Black Kid? I got him, right?
Whatever, man.
And then they come out of Isaiah's house, and the cop immediately comes up to him and says, "Sir," says to Bucky, "Sir, is this guy bothering you?" And I don't know about you, but that kind of made my blood boil a little bit. And I know that's what some people go through in this country, and I'm glad they're bringing attention to it and showing that's what really happens. And I think that they're, it seems like an underlying theme throughout the show, and I like that they're addressing it and they're doing it in a way that some people probably have never seen before.
I totally agree with you, Dave. I thought that was a great way to kind of bring it up, and it's something that's needed to be said in one of these, shows or animations or movies for a long time, but they've never really touched on it before. But if you think about how many other superhero characters they decide that they're going to, slap the word black in front of it just to, as if that's the distinguishing figure,
And you think I named myself Black Vulcan? Hell no. I used to go by Supervolt. Black Vulcan was Aquaman's idea. And I said, well, maybe we should just call you Whitefish.
I'm glad that it was brought up, and I thought they did it really good, and I thought Sam explained it really well.
I 100% agree. And, you know, speaking of like that neighborhood, that's where it all happened. When he went in Isaiah's house and we meet Isaiah, I mean, look at, he's obviously aged. He's got to be around the same age as, maybe a little bit younger than Bucky. And it looks like he could still, you know, take down a whole squad.
And Dave, I don't know about you, but when they were talking about the confrontation between Isaiah and the Winter Soldier, I wanted a flashback scene so bad, but unfortunately we didn't get it. Yet.
We met in 51.
If by met you mean I whooped your ass, then yeah. We heard whispers he was on the peninsula. But everyone they sent after him never came back. So the U.S. military dropped me behind the line to go deal with him. I took half that metal arm in that fight in Goyang, but I see he's managed to grow it back.
After both Captain America, Battlestar Galactica, and Bucky and Sam all got kind of their butts handed to them by the Flag Smashers on, you know, the semis and stuff when they were stealing the vaccines. Are they really vaccines? I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I think that is what is going to get the government, and mainly, hopefully, Thunderbolt Ross, back into the Super Soldier program. I think he's going to see that they need to be boosted so they can play, it can be on a level playing field. Because he doesn't want his new Captain America, you know, getting his butt whooped on camera or people finding out what's going on. So I do think they are going to actually take the Super Soldier Serum, and I think that's what's going to lead to some of John Walker's issues with being Captain America. We did hear at one point Lamar tell him when they were in the locker room, you can't punch your way out of problems. I think that's a bit of foreshadowing into how John Walker loses the mantle. You know, in the comics, it was his violent temper, it was him killing people and all of that. And I think they've done a pretty good job of showing him why they picked him to be Captain America, you know, throwing the shield to kind of save Lamar when he got thrown off the truck, and just him, you know, kind of, you know, having the 3 medals of honor and all the stuff that they kind of saw in Steve a little bit, but with a little edge. And I think once he gets this Super Soldier Serum, it's going to bring that edge out more. And I think that is going to be the downfall of John Walker as Captain America.
Yeah, so far, I don't hate this guy. Like, I really wanted to, you know, doing our In Focus on U.S. agent John Walker, I thought for sure, oh my God, this guy is going to be, you know, a fascist piece of shit. I'm not going to like him. I'm going to, you know, he's going to be a bad guy from the get-go, but I don't hate him yet. And like, I'm just wondering what's going to happen, what's going to change about his character, because when he's asked, have you ever jumped on a grenade? I knew that that was referencing what Steve had done back in Captain America, the first Avenger.
You win wars. Guts.
Grenade! Get away! Get back!
The dummy grenade. All clear. Back in formation.
And when he said yes, and he gave, I think he said like 5 times or whatever, I'm just like, this dude is like, he's like super Captain America. Like, he really was a good pick, because I don't know who in the government finally decided, you know, I remember in the initial picking when they were trying to find who was going to get the Super Soldier Serum, they were looking for the biggest, toughest, meanest soldier. And it was up to the doctor to convince them, look, no, this serum brings out certain attributes of people. We can't pick somebody like that. We need somebody who is caring, somebody who wants peace, somebody who doesn't want to just fight. And it seems like they finally paid attention. And in John Walker, at least currently, he seems like a decent dude.
And Doug, I kind of disagree. I see what Keith was talking about. Like, you can't punch your way out of this. We know that is a personality trait with him. And at the end of the show, when they're walking away, he says, all right, well then, you know, stay out of my way. He's saying this to 2 Avengers to stay out of his way. He's got a temper. And when he gets that, you know, obviously he's not powered up now, but when he does, that's what's next in my mind. When he does get that Super Soldier Serum in him, it is going to explode his temper, and he is going to lose the mantle that way. That's what I think.
And we even, going back to Isaiah, when Bucky and Sam were speaking to him, he said he isn't going to talk about that anymore, talking about the super soldier serum. So I think he has actually recently talked to the government, maybe Thunderbolt Ross, about this program because they're wanting to ramp it back up. And just to go off on a little deep end here, what if Thunderbolt Ross is working on it for himself too? Because in the comics, Thunderbolt Ross uses it and he becomes the Red Hulk. So we are going to get the Red Hulk in Captain America, or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, season 1. Write it down, bank it, take its money to the bank. Red Hulk, season 1.
Yeah, that's no, I'm gonna reel that in. That's ridiculous.
Fishing pole, grill it in. Work, hold on. It's me and my friends. Go, bud. Work, you know what I'm saying?
But I wanted to bounce back to another topic that Keith was saying when they got on, when Bucky ran up beside the truck, which I thought was really awesome, and he got in and he found Aaron Kellerman. He said that they were moving vaccines, and you know what? That's what I think is what's next. He found what they call vaccines, but I think they're taking that. It's super soldier serum. I think they're taking that to the power broker.
So I agree with you, Dave. I think that is super soldier serum, but I think they stole it from the power broker. And I think that's why he was actually after them. I think maybe he developed it, and I think the Flag Smashers stole it from him somehow.
I'm with you guys. I do think the Flag Smashers stole what is labeled as vaccines from the power broker, or perhaps somebody else, but I don't think it's the super soldier serum. I think, because if you remember, she says at one point, you guys are all with me, she says, after tomorrow, there is no going back. And they are taking these vaccines, and because their whole plan is they liked it while all of those peoples were blipped out. I think they're going to release some kind of biological weapon to try to kill off as many people as they can to get back to where they were during the blip. And those vaccines are the actual cure for this biological weapon. And I think they are planning on releasing it, whatever tomorrow is, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I think that they stole it from either the power broker or someone else, because we did see the power broker chasing after them at the end. They do say his men, which unfortunately we didn't see any armadillo type super beings during that attack. But I think there might be two people going after the Flag Smashers right now. The power broker, because they still owe him for getting their super strength, but also someone else, another villain type who is planning on releasing that. He wanted the vaccines for his people, and they're going to use it for their people, basically, and people that were not blipped.
And everything that Keith is saying right there, I think there's a lot more depth to it. And just to tell you, we're going to do an In Focus really soon on the power broker to explain what we're talking about here.
I also do think, we know from the trailer that Zemo, Bucky, and Sam are going to be in Madripoor at some point. I think that the power broker is working out of Madripoor, and that's why they're on their way there. And it's going to, a lot of the things we talked about in the Theory Palooza with Ogden and everything going on there. I think this is going to open up a huge can of worms that I don't think Sam and Bucky are ready for. And I think Zemo is going to escape at some point. And I have more to say about Zemo later on here.
One thing that I want to go back to, something that I've been kind of thinking about, again, my wheels have been spinning ever since watching this episode. I hope that I don't end up going off the deep end like I did with WandaVision and, coming up with all these crazy theories, but I'm gonna tread the water a little bit, so don't reel me in too much yet, Dave. But here is my theory-ish, what I think is gonna happen next. Yeah, this is what's next. I'm wondering if at some point Eli Bradley is going to team up with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or if he's going to join their team. And one of the things that I've been wondering about that is, did he at some point inherit any of the powers from his father? I'm wondering how that works in the MCU. I don't know if this will be maybe a subtle way to introduce mutants. Again, I know we were talking about that in WandaVision as a possibility, but I'm wondering if that is going to happen in the show. If we're going to find out that Eli Bradley has some sort of powers that maybe he got from his father, who received the super soldier serum himself.
Doug, I think that's really good. And I think it's very possible we may see that in the first season of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But kind of my last thought for what's next, it was a kind of almost throwaway comment at the end of this episode. But Bucky said he knows all of Hydra's secrets. When speaking of Zemo, which we see at the end, he's sitting in his cell. We know he knows everything. He had found those books. He was able to, control the Winter Soldier during Civil War. But I think this is going to have a huge impact on the future of the MCU, because I think once Zemo gets out, I talked about him escaping at some point. I think when all the craziness is going on, Zemo is going to be able to escape and get out there and start formulating a new plan. And I think that plan is going to be not only take over control of Hydra and actually maybe give himself the moniker of Baron. So he's then Baron Zemo, like in the comics, kind of taking Von Strucker's title since he's leading Hydra. But I think he's also going to be kind of getting the Thunderbolts off the ground as kind of a side plan. We may not see them being a government sanctioned team, but Zemo leading them like he kind of did in the comics and saying, yeah, we're the good guys, and having basically kind of two plans going back and forth. Introducing the Thunderbolts because of the rise in Hydra and the threat that he's creating with Hydra, and creating the Thunderbolts to fight that while powering himself up on both sides. Very Emperor Palpatine-esque. But it's going to happen. Once again, write it down. I'm right. This is how the future is going on. We're going to see a Thunderbolts show, a movie. We're going to see, Baron Zemo being the Emperor Palpatine of the MCU. It's done. Count it.
I'm just reeling that in right now. Everything after the word Palpatine there, you can just reel right back in. But one thing I wanted to mention on this show, it's not really what's next. It's something I noticed in the scene. Zemo's cell number is the same 2187 as Princess Leia's was on the Death Star in A New Hope.
We gotta find out which cell this princess of yours is in. Here it is, 2187. You go and get her. I'll hold him here.
A little tip to the cap there, I guess. But that's what we think is happening next. And what do you think? Leave it in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on Not Your Status Quo.